Hi, I'm Alec Lynch, founder of DesignCrowd.com. Today, I'm going to be giving my presentation for the 2010 Witkey and Crowdsourcing Conference. I'm super passionate about crowdsourcing, and today I'm going to talk about Witkey, which is crowdsourcing in China. I'm going to focus my presentation on 8 things relating to crowdsourcing in general and crowdsourcing, or Witkey, in China. But before I get to those 8 things, I'm going to talk a little bit about DesignCrowd.com. DesignCrowd.com is a crowdsourcing service for graphic design, logo design, and web design. According to Google, here's what DesignCrowd would look like in Chinese. And here's how DesignCrowd works. If you need something creative done, like a logo, you post a project on our site, describe what you want, set your budget, and we open that up to designers from around the world. It's not uncommon for a project on DesignCrowd to receive over 100 different designs. This is one of my favorite projects. It's from Harvard Business School's Forum for Innovation and Growth. They received 267 different designs. But my favorite thing is after the project, the guy from Harvard described it as, and DesignCrowd, as a game changer for getting logo and graphic design work done. And that brings me to my first point, which is that crowdsourcing is a game changer for business. And that's why it's been growing so dramatically both in China and the West, despite the global financial crisis. The second thing I want to point out is that crowdsourcing is going to change the way the world works, particularly when it comes to employment. Traditionally, the biggest employers have been corporations like Walmart and government agencies and departments. That's going to change. Already, you're seeing sites like Zhubiji.com in China with 4 million different workers. Now, they're not full-time workers, but one day they might be. And even if they're not, it's going to reach a point where the collective output of these people surpasses large offline organizations. Point number 3 is that crowdsourcing in China is huge, and people in the West don't yet realize this. If you look at top crowdsourcing sites in China and top crowdsourcing sites in the US, the Chinese sites have more workers, and in addition to this, as a percentage of total internet users, they have greater penetration than US sites. 1.5% of Chinese internet users appear to be workers on Chinese crowdsourcing websites, compared to 0.5% in the West and in the US. But crowdsourcing in China is only going to get bigger, driven by the growth in China's GDP and underlying economy, and compounded by further internet penetration within China. Still, only a third of its population actually have access to the internet, and as that grows, more workers are going to come online and more businesses demanding services will come online. Crowdsourcing and Witkey in general saves money for businesses. It's very cost effective. On DesignCrowd, we believe that our service saves around 50% of agency and traditional design studio fees. What's fascinating is it appears to be even cheaper in China. For example, on Tassien.com, the average project size is under $20 US. And perhaps that's not surprising given the vast number of workers on Chinese crowdsourcing sites and the competition that that generates. One thing that I've learnt looking at Chinese Witkey sites, and in particular the design projects on these sites, is that many businesses, in fact a very high percentage of businesses, require an English word, an English name, or some English characters in their logo. However, in China, less than 1% of the population can actually speak English, which is much lower than what it is in India, where it's 25%, and countries like the Philippines, where it's over 50%. What we're seeing as a result is a language barrier, isolating English-speaking crowdsourcing sites and English-speaking workers from Chinese-speaking businesses and Chinese-speaking workers. My view is that there's a huge opportunity for entrepreneurs, crowdsourcing sites, and also the countries themselves and governments to try and cross that gap and somehow overcome the language barrier. To make this happen, what we're going to need is better understanding and better communication between workers and businesses across countries. That'll require better technology, better translation services, and quite simply, more knowledge of each other's language. In addition to that, I think what you're going to see are either the companies already operating as big players in the different markets seek to jump across and enter the other markets. And there's one of two ways that's going to happen. You're either going to jump across yourself and try and do it yourself, in which case you've got to overcome all sorts of challenges, such as cultural differences in branding and marketing and communication and customer service challenges. If you can overcome that, fantastic. The other approach is going to be to buy a competitor or a smaller player in the other market, or partner with someone else in the other market to combine forces and grow something that's much bigger. I know that Witkey and crowdsourcing, both in China and the West, is going to continue to boom and grow, and we are going to see that top 5 list of largest employers in the world dominated by crowdsourcing sites. I'm sure there'll be more crowdsourcing and or Witkey conferences in the future, both in China and elsewhere, and I hope next time I can attend in person and meet you there. Thanks.